Alright, let's get this out of the way first. In the How to Make a Team video, we put together an aggro villain team based around Owlman. However, the team that you saw in that video has now changed a little bit, so let's take a look at those changes really quick. Instead of this card, we have this card. Instead of this card, we have this card. And instead of this card, we have this card. Also, we switched out this action for this action. So now the team looks like this. With that out of the way, now we can get started with the... Alright everybody, here we go. Big shout out to my good friend Tyler, who is going first in this matchup. We'll take a look at his team here in a moment. He's got 2 shields and a mask. He's going to prep over a multiple man using my cards. He's got multiple man. Nightwing is very scary for my team. Iron Fist, he's using the Iron Fist from the very new Carnage set that's coming out. He's got that amazing Batman, the rare one. He's also using the Agent Venom from the very new Guardians set coming out. He borrowed that, and Hulk from me. He's got Dwarf Wizard for blanking and Ronin for soaking up damage. All in all, a very scary looking team that can do some things that mess with what I'm doing, particularly with that Nightwing that can kind of KO all of my guys, and Batman that can make me re-roll all of my guys. So some really scary stuff that I'm going to have to watch out for. Jumping back into the game, it is now my turn. Rolling up a sidekick, fist, and some other stuff. What else we got? 2 shields. That's actually a perfect roll because I can prep over my own Hush. Actually, that's a bad buy. I should look at his team and see the Batman and the Nightwing and know that my opponent likes to buy those and instead buy a Jervis. That is the better play, but I unfortunately did not. So if one of those Nightwing or Batman dice come out, then I got some problems. My opponent has rolled up his multiple man there. Pays 2 to field it on its 4/4 side, then picks up a second one, which goes to the bag, and that is about perfect for him, because now that's going to re-roll, or excuse me, it's going to go into the bag and get pulled and trigger swarm. I roll up Hush. I don't want to roll Hush here. This is my second turn, and so my play here is to re-roll Hush. Hopefully I get 6 energy, use that 6 energy to buy a Dark Side. Hush comes out instead, which slows down the ramp. I switched out Dark Side with the Rip Hunter that I had before, because Rip Hunter is awesome, but it only provides churn, which means you're only rolling 4 dice per turn, plus if you prep 1 over, then you're rolling 5. But here I am going to prep over a Jervis Tetch. I realize my first mistake of picking up a Hush instead of a Jervis. Prep over a Jervis instead, and the goal here is to, on turn 3, since I missed it on turn 2, roll 6 energy and buy a Dark Side. Dark Side is great in that he cycles your bag every turn, basically. I use the ring global, the global on my ring, to pull a sidekick from my used pile. That is thinning out my bag a little bit. Gives me an additional blocker. My opponent draws and triggers that Swarm ability. He's going to re-roll the Swarm character, but it comes right back up as a multiple man. So let's see if he pays to field it. Looks like he is going to pay to field it. He's got some energy left over here, 3 energy exactly. He could prep over a multiple man, but that's kind of anti-synergy because you want to draw a multiple man for the Swarm. He can't pick up either of those Bat characters. He could pick up a Ronin. Could pick up a Dwarf Wizard as well. Interesting to see how he goes about doing what he's going to do. If it were me, I think I might just float one of those energy and pick up a multiple man. Don't worry about prepping it over because I want to redraw it. He could pick up that Iron Fist. That'd be kind of an interesting purchase. Looks like he's going to prep over a multiple man. So I guess he's thinking ahead and hoping for a body rather than the Swarm trigger. Refilling my bag and pulling 4. I don't know why I refilled my bag before pulling the 4. I knew it was going to be sidekicks because that was all that was in my used pile. But that's the rules, so do it that way. Alright, going to do some re-rolling. All I need is 1 energy to come up instead of the sidekick. It does come up, and we've got 6, so I'm going to immediately buy a Dark Side. Still have 3 blockers in the field. Dark Side should cycle in 1 to 2 turns. If I'm super duper lucky, then he would cycle next turn. But if not, then I've got a fairly decent chance of him cycling 2 turns from now. And this is a bad sign. This is a bad thing for us. My opponent picks up a Batman die. So if that Batman comes out on the field, it's going to auto KO the Hush, and then it's going to force me to reroll any non-villain characters because he's going to flip it to the non-villain character side, seeing that Hush will get KO'd because of Hush's ability. 4 energy, no sidekicks. Not so good. Going to reroll. Going to pick up a sidekick. Got some energy to play with. Easy buy here is just pick up a Jervis and move right along. I could even prep the Jervis over for a guaranteed roll of it. Actually, I can't do that because I need 2 shields to do so. But buying one is just fine because looking to get the dark side out means that I'm going to cycle my bag just every turn infinitely. It's going to be crazy. So here comes Batman. Let's see if he ends up landing on one of the character sides. If so, that's really bad for us. Ah, we miss it. Good. He does have a reroll, though. He's got 1 sidekick. He landed the multiple man. That's actually kind of a scary keep if he keeps the multiple man, because then he can push for some serious damage. Keeping the sidekick. Oh, man, and the character face does come up. He's going to have to pay 2 to field all of that. That's going to immediately KO Hush and force me to reroll all 3 of these sidekicks because he's got it on his non-villain side. None of them come back, so all of that energy goes to my reserve pool, and I have a completely open board. Very, very bad times. Looks like he's going to push for just a ton of damage and use the global on my Haymaker action to buff it for 1 more, dealing me 12. Now, luckily, that does actually all go to his used pile, but I am at 8 currently, and my ramp is just now going to be getting going with Darkseid, and I would need a sidekick as well. I can ring global out a sidekick, so keeping that in mind, that means I can guarantee a sidekick here if I can field all of this for free or for cheap. Luckily, it looks like I rolled pretty perfectly with regards to the fielding costs, which allows me to gamble a little bit. So pick up a sidekick already, paying 1 to field, and I'm not going to attack. Looking to set up the bag churn, that is drawing sidekicks with Swarm next turn, and buying an Owlman. My opponent picks up 2 sidekicks. That's not a bad play to keep those sidekicks. Looks like he's going to do that. And he's just going to buy another multiple man. I think that's a really smart play. Get some blockers out. Yes, Jervis can take 1, but I'm more looking to stabilize with blockers and not be affected by another Batman coming down and making me reroll all my villains this time. Not really looking to do some pushing right now, though I do need to do that because I am really sort of the beat stick of this matchup. I am the aggro team. It just so happens that when you have to go for Darkseid on turn 2 and you miss it, and then you go for turn 3, it slows everything down, which is sort of an interesting impression that I've gained already, is that Darkseid, is a value play, and really I'm an aggro team, which translates to tempo. Rerolling and getting a sidekick along with another Jervis. I rerolled a sidekick so that I could pick up any energy whatsoever, so that I could both pay for and prep an Owlman. Needed that 6 energy. Thinking about attacking, I would take 2 of those sidekicks. And being the beat stick team, I do need to actually get some damage in. Taking 2 sidekicks would mean that I would be able to push some sort of damage. If he chooses to block with the multiple man, that's just fine with me because he's going to KO. That multiple man will KO. And it looks like I am attacking, taking both sidekicks. But if he chooses to block with multiple man, that will KO and kill his ramp, which he's totally well set up this turn, so he really wants to keep it. So I do get 5 damage through, which could be consequential. So he's going to reload his bag. He's got a decent chance of Swarm triggering. For some reason, he grabbed his 2 sidekicks and put those into the bag. So he takes 2 sidekicks back out. Swarm triggers. Swarm triggers. Swarm does not trigger. So, rolling up his dice. Let's see what he gets. He's got a character face and a 1 mask energy. He's also got a sidekick. Now re-rolling one of the 1 energy character face. It becomes a 2 energy character face. I think he wanted a character there. And I don't think that's a bad idea either. He's going to prep over another Batman. That's a great play. And then he's going to pass over to me with no attacks. So luckily for me, having Darkseid out means I'm basically drawing my whole bag because swarm triggers, swarm triggers, swarm triggers, swarm triggers, some more swarm, and the bag is empty. So now I'm rolling all of that along with an Owlman here. And wouldn't you know it, Owlman comes up along with 2 Jervises. So a lot of energy to pay for all of it. And I'm going to be able to push with just about everything. I'm also going to pay here 2 fists from the frontline global to make him pay 2 life in order for those characters to block. I'm going to steal his sidekick here. And here, because of the +2/+2 buffing of Owlman, I actually do have lethal. I have 18 damage lethal because of both Jervises being buffed to 4s and the Hush being buffed to a 6 attack character. So that is the game. That is the craziness that is Owlman buffing all of these cheap little sidekick characters or cheap little villain characters. It is pretty crazy when you get it together. And the crazy thing about this too is because I chose to go for Darkseid so early instead of just focusing on that tempo, and I see because I could have bought an Owlman on turn 2. Instead of doing that and going for Darkseid, I was actually slower. This team can go a lot faster than what we just saw. And that was, what, a 12-minute game. So let's jump into another game. I'll post another game right after this one, and we can take a look at another instance of us playing me with this team. As always, thanks for watching.